Off the coast of British Columbia, on the archipelago known as Haida, Gwaii, there lives a unique songbird. In fact, it is the only known aquatic songbird. The American dipper, Cinclus mexicanus, can be found throughout western coastal Canada and the United States, down into Mexico and Central America. On the northern island of Haida, Gwaii, known as Graham Island, we have found this elusive little bird on the Trundle River at the southern end of the island. Her name is Debbie Dip, or, as we like to call her, Lil Dip. Dippers thrive in cool, fast-flowing streams, similar to those that salmon use for their spawning each year, making Haida, Gwaii, with its abundance of streams, the ideal location for Lil Dip. These birds can be incredible bioindicators of stream health. Knowing where they reside suggests the relative health of the stream and surrounding riparian forests. Unfortunately, the American dipper's abundance and range on Haida, Gwaii is largely unknown. Let's watch as Lil Dip moves through life.
Lil Dip was born May 12, 2015. She showed promise to make it as a young dipper, swimming and dipping to grow big and strong to avoid her predators, the eagles, hawks, and martins, to name a few. Unfortunately, her siblings could not say the same, and Debbie was the only fledgling of the 5 to make it through. The pesky martin, one of the main predators of the American dipper and the Lil Dip family, impeded the survival of the remaining 4 chicks. However, Debbie persevered, and after only 25 days in the nest, she was ready to test the waters of the Trundle.
See you later, Mom. I'm going off into the big world to make my dreams come true.
As Lil Dip grew, she watched her parents hunt, and although she was once friends with the dragonflies, she couldn't help but remark how delicious their larvae tasted when her parents fed them to her. Through watching her parents and slowly working up the courage to brave the waters of the river, Lil Dip learned how to find the tastiest macroinvertebrates and fish fry out there. With her parents' support and guidance, she spread her wings and flew under the water. It came so naturally, the dipping motion that Little Dip made, even when out of the water. Soon she was feeling strong and confident that she could make it on her own.
What a beautiful day! The river is flowing, the water is nice and cool, and there is so much larvae to eat. And even some little fish, too.
Lil Dip, after watching her parents and being fed for 30 days outside of the nest, felt that it was time to fly. She ate her last home-caught meal, said her goodbyes, and for the first time in her life ventured farther than 50 meters from her home. She quickly found a suitable home, only 7 kilometers upstream, familiar enough territory, and the start of her new life.
Fortunately, on Haida, Gwaii, the temperate climate leaves most streams unfrozen in the wintertime, meaning that Lil Dip does not have to migrate so long as she has an adequate food source. Her relatives on the mainland, such as Alaska, do not have such luck. Their streams may freeze over, forcing them to either move downstream or forage in intertidal zones and estuaries. The first year is hard for Little Dip. She works to establish herself in the stream and defend her territory before she can think about finding a mate.
One faithful day, as Lil Dip was feeding in the shallow stream bed, she noticed someone new in the neighborhood, a handsome little gray dipper dipping about. They were feeding side by side. The next day, there he was again. Enough was enough, and she started gaping at him. He then brought her a little fish fry, and the rest was history. Lil Dip had met her love, Dougie Dip. His superior macroinvertebrate catching skills and impressive dips wooed her.
Wow, well, aren't you handsome? You look like you could catch a few fish.
You should see me on a good day.
2 weeks after nesting, Lil Dip and Dougie Dip began building their lives together by creating a nest and copulating. Close enough to the stream to stay damp and have easy access to food, the pair creates a cozy, sphere-shaped home of moss and twigs up to 1 foot in diameter. The nest is large enough to hold up to 5 eggs. Following the creation of the nest, the breeding process begins. The breeding of dippers can take on many forms. usually done while floating down a stream, but instances have shown aerial and ground mating practices. Shortly after mating is completed, Lil Dip has the pleasure of laying her first clutch of 4 beautiful white eggs.
Now watch me dip. Now watch me lay.
15 days later, a miracle occurs. Lil Dip and Dougie Dip are the proud parents of 4 little hatchlings. For the next month, Dougie and Debbie take turns feeding their clutch, a mixture of stoneflies, mayflies, caddisflies, and salmon fry.
A caddisfly for Diane, a mayfly for Donkey, a stonefly for Donald, and a salmon fry for Dougie Jr.
Just as Little Dip did with her parents, the fledglings stay close for the first month as they build their confidence and skills to make it on their own. After about 25 days of being in the nest, the chicks are ready to fledge and leave. The young fledglings fly off and begin their own adventures.
They just grew up so fast. It feels like it was just yesterday that they poked their little beaks out of the shell.
We finally have the nest to ourselves again. Peace and quiet.
As American Dippers are typically monogamous, Lil Dip and Dougie Dip will stay together. They strip the inner linings of their nest once the fledglings have left, and since their first clutch was successful, the pair can try for a second brood in the same season. Lil Dip and Dougie Dip are working hard to maintain a strong, healthy American Dipper population on Haida Gwaii. With so little known about their abundance, we can only hope that their efforts are successful.